All right, guys, it's that time of the week again. Let's recap the Florida South Carolina game. Heck of a game, guys. Man, we're just going to enjoy this one. Got the dub. I mean, great win for Billy in this program to finally get that monkey off their back, get a road win. Very, very much needed. That was a must win game. And I mean, Florida really probably should have and could have lost that game very easily. The Gator Gods and the little luck was on our side there at the end with that Wilson catch bouncing off of Pearsall. Probably could have been picked off right there, but man, sure is nice for a bounce. A little bit of luck to go our way in one of these games. It's been a while since we've had some of that good juju. It's just meant to be for us in South Carolina. That's 2 wins, 2 years straight. We beat them. Definitely a much different game this year. We dominated last year. Spencer Rattler is a great quarterback. He is a stud. I mean, he carried that team on his back yesterday, and Leggett. I don't know why our defense, is a sieve right now and just inconsistent. Same thing, the offense looks like it's on the rise and show more consistency, more explosion, and then the defense falls off. I mean, if we can play good on both sides of the ball, we could beat anybody on our schedule. I just don't know if that's going to happen because of the youth on defense now. And for some reason, we just seem to be struggling. I don't know if it's a lack of talent. The talent's there, it's just really young. I think we rotate too much on defense, way too much rotation. Just play the more talented guys more consistently. I know D line has to rotate, but our D line's not the problem. We were getting just absolutely demolished on the back end. Rattler just, if he wanted somebody open or he wanted to hit somebody, he seemed to find them. We couldn't get off the field on third down. We finally get a turnover at the end of the game. We just have not been able to get the ball to go our way. I mean, they fumbled this game. We couldn't recover it. Um, you know, it just seems like those type of plays don't seem to go the Gators' way sometimes. But thankfully, Mitchell gets an interception. He's been awful all year, so good for him. Super happy he got a pick. Um, Castell looked like he got hurt, which isn't good. Hopefully he's okay. We get the bye week. The main goal is to get everybody back and 100% healthy, and add some new wrinkles to this defense and offense and just make some adjustments going to Georgia. Um, big game for Billy Napier in this program next week. Could be literally a program changing type game. You win that game, and destroy Georgia's hopes and dreams. Although they could still lose that game and still go to the SEC championship in the playoff if they win out and win that game. But man, wouldn't that be awesome to beat Georgia? We actually have some hope now that it's doable. I actually think it is possible, and you might be surprised by my pick here later when I do talk about that game. My outlook on the season has changed a little bit, not much. My prediction still holds. Our back half of the schedule is the toughest part. We play the most talented and better teams coming up on this last stretch. It's not going to get any easier. And there's going to be some losses that are going to pile up here at the end, but I do think that Florida gets a couple more wins. It does finish with a nice season, good bowl game, and I think we win our bowl game this year. I think Florida shows up ready to play. You got the young guys; they're ready to prove something. So, still got a nice prediction for the year that I think most Gator fans would be happy with after the last two losing seasons. But man, I'm gonna eat my crow. I have been, not that he's elite. He doesn't have elite arm talent or arm strength. You see the underthrown balls. Maybe that's a little bit why we haven't gone downfield. Because of some of that, he obviously lacks a lot of arm strength, but he can push the ball. He can get it downfield. And our receivers are talented enough and good enough to make those plays. Khalil made a hell of a catch diving on the ground for the ball that was underthrown. Ricky made one. I mean, these guys are just really helping him out. But that hasn't been there, guys. I mean, Mertz is just a good decision maker, reads the field well, runs this offense like a fine tuned machine. I was wrong on him. I apologize. Again, it's all pontification. I mean, it's literally, we're all just going off of what we could see in the past, stats, what's there. I mean, there's a reason that every columnist, every journalist, every podcaster was really down on him as a quarterback and as a pickup for the Gators. There were other options out there that at the time were better options or pickups. But man, Billy Napier and this staff's evaluations are just absolutely elite for the most part. Do they miss a few? Sure, but man, they make some good evaluations. He was a great pickup. I would take him over any quarterback that we could have taken, except for maybe McCall and Pratt. I would have liked to still gotten one of those two guys. But outside of that, Leary, Hartman, I take Mertz all day. Eat my crow. I was totally wrong about Mertz. I love him as our Gator quarterback. I fully support him. I just love his passion. I love him wearing that 15 and representing us so well with that number. I love how tough he is. The guy's one of the toughest quarterbacks I've ever seen play the game. I mean, he just gets knocked down. Our offensive line is atrocious. I mean, he's under pressure all the time. He's getting sacked. He's getting hammered back there. He just keeps getting up and getting up and getting up. His ankle got rolled up on y'all in that game. He should have been out the rest of the game, and he came back and he stayed in that game. I honestly think he has a mild sprain or tweak on that ankle. It got rolled up bad, and Mertz is just a dude. So I'm proud of him. I love him as a quarterback. I'm a super big fan of Mertz now. Uh, just love how he represents our program and our team, and I just want to keep seeing him do well. And I hope he just keeps continuing to shred it and finishes with some beautiful stats. His stats are already great. I mean, these are awesome stats, better than anything Anthony Richardson did at Florida, besides the rushing touchdown aspect, which Mertz actually has, I believe, 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns this year, which is nice. His rushing yards are negative, but heck, I mean, with the sacks, it's going to be that way. Mertz, 30 of 48, 3 touchdowns in this game. That is studly. That completion percentage, 63%, did come down. And I was telling y'all that the completion percentage is a little bit of a mirage, because when you start throwing it downfield and you actually have a legit passing game, 60 something percent is more realistic, and that's still a great completion percentage. I'll take 63% all day if we actually throw it vertical. So happy with that. The 80% stuff, that's only on a dink and dunk, East Coast, West Coast, back and forth offense, side to side. So really happy we're getting away from some of that. I didn't see that in this game, although there might have been a couple, but it was just a lot of vertical passing. We'll get to that later. There's definitely some changes. Billy has humbled himself. He has adapted and has made changes. I do think he's given away some of the play calling in season, and we'll talk about that as well. And that's a positive, you know, thing that's changed. And I've got full faith in Billy that he's even done this now already, and he's been able to overcome this stuff this quick. I mean, this is big time for us, guys. This is big time for next season. This recruiting class is top 5, number 3 in the country right now. It's going to finish top 5. And with that talent coming in next year, if he continues to make the changes, get rid of the offensive coordinator tag and be our CEO and run this program like a Saban, the sky is the limit for the Florida Gators, y'all. I mean, I am pumped right now. That I've seen some massive changes that we should all be excited about. I'm not as down or negative as I was, because he actually did the stuff that we said needed to change. It's there. I'm telling you, that is not all Billy Napier calling those plays in this game. Besides some of his, you can see some of his touches and play calling on some of the bad runs, or some of the bad third down calls short of the sticks, and some of those worked out because we have some tight ends now that are developing. Man, Russ Callaway was a gold mine. He's a gem, a diamond that we found. His offense was great at Samford. Air raid, I mean, his passing concepts and stuff, he's great. And that is who is involved in this offense. And I believe designing at least the passing game and some of these plays. And that has just been night and day. Such a difference for the Gators. It's awesome to see. 1,897 yards this year, 271 per game. Those are sick numbers. I'm so stoked about that. Still 76% completion percentage, one of the best in the SEC. 12 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and those 2 picks were bounced off his receiver. They weren't even his fault. So complete opposite of Wisconsin. Not a turnover machine, taking care of the ball at Florida. You got to love it. 5-2. Every one of us would have taken this record at the bye week. No matter who the losses came to, I would have taken 5-2 all day long. We've played a tough schedule to start the season, much tougher than what most teams have played, including Georgia. 8 players caught a pass in the South Carolina game, so we are actually spreading the ball around, which is awesome to see. 63% for the game, which is good. The running game, I thought it was efficient and did good in this game. Obviously, we didn't put the big numbers, but solid 5.4 average for ETN. Trell is getting better and running the ball decent now. We're getting some better blocks on some of these run plays towards the tackle side and some of the counter runs. ETN's just not healthy. That's what it is. It's not Billy just playing Trell over him. He's just not healthy. He still had, I believe, 49 yards rushing and a touchdown in this game. He looked good when he did get the ball. Had a few short yard catches. Trail is better, but still not his old self. You can tell there's just something there. I was talking to somebody, another Gator fan, the other day. It looks like he's tiptoeing. It's almost like he's just like kind of doing high knees, or just like prancing when he has the ball, like waiting for a block or waiting for something to open up before he takes off. I would love to see him just run downhill, head down, full head of steam. I mean, and actually look like he's sprinting when he's running. He just looks like he jogs and he's happy to just get 10 yards and fall down. Would love to see, he goes down too easy on contact sometimes, which ETN doesn't. So that's the only thing I'm kind of down on him about. I would love to see him just get downhill and go and pick up, 15, 20, 30-yard gains instead of these 10-yard gains. I mean, he ripped some big runs off in the spring game. I would like to see him, round into that kind of form as the season goes on. The two tight ends, including Hansen, who has been, I mean, these two guys should have been starting day one. I mean, Boardingham and Hansen have looked better, and the only reason they're playing, which is sad to say, is because other guys are hurt. Odom and Lang, or Xanders, whatever they call him now, they're both hurt, and that's why they're not playing. But when they come back, they do not need to be on the field. These need to be our two starting tight ends. They have been super effective for Florida. Hansen was a two-star guy out of high school, another elite, Napier eval. I know he's not, what Boardingham is, but he's been effective. He's a great blocker, surprisingly, a couple touchdowns. I mean, catching the ball for the Gators now, I mean, I'm just super happy with what we're doing with the tight end. That has actually helped open this offense up. People are having to plan for our tight ends. We finally have a pass-catching tight end, and he's elite. This is a Brock Bowers, not Kyle Pitts, but still, up there with those guys. I mean, Kyle Pitts is just a different breed, different type, but Boardingham's athletic, I mean, in his own right. I mean, he's got speed, he's got power. I mean, he's got 4 touchdowns, which we haven't had a tight end have that since the guy, missing his name now, he transferred to UCF, Gamble. Kamari Gamble, last tight end with 4 touchdowns for the Gators. We're only halfway through the year. But, man, exciting to see that. That is going to be a game changer against these other teams. We've always been beat up and been just crushed by tight ends by other teams on defense, like Georgia. Seems to always be our weakness. But now we're the ones with the beast of a tight end. And, man, I'm telling you, college football, these teams cannot cover or tackle these tight ends. So it's really going to help our offense going forward the rest of the year. The Gators are going to be able to put some points up and move the ball. With our running backs and these tight ends now, I mean, things are just going to continue to get better. Like my guys, Trey Wilson, another game changer, another development for the Gators that just really helped open things up. Even before the offensive changes, him being on the field, it just makes the success rate go up. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands for a true freshman. Just Percy Tony-like spin moves. I mean, just the ball touches him, he's getting 10 yards every time. I mean, it's almost an automatic first down, even on those little quick stand pop passes, whatever you want to call them, out to the sideline screens. I mean, 6 catches for 83 yards. This kid's going to have good numbers to end the year. He's the future at the slot. He's just amazing. Pearsall has just gotten better and better. 10 for 166, his best game as a Gator by far with a touchdown. I mean, he just lit it up. Those are elite numbers right there. He's got 619 yards receiving on the year. This kid could finish with, 800-900. I mean, if things go like they're going now, he could be a 1,000-yard receiver by the end of the season, depending on how this offense continues to play. But, man, I mean, we were talking about him being a really, really good receiver. I mean, he's up there right now. I would give him, that elite tag or borderline, getting close to it. Where's Trey Smack been? Why did Trey Smack not start the year as the kicker? This is another head-scratcher for me. Special teams, again, disappointing, but getting better. Definitely not making as many mistakes, being more effective. And the biggest reason for that is just Trey Smack, hands down. Best kicker in the country, if you ask me. 4 or 5 in this game. I mean, he's just super accurate. He's got a beast of a leg. He can boom the ball long of 54 yards. If Mihalik was our kicker, guys, we lose that game. We lose a couple games just not having a kicker like Smack. The field goals, I mean, you look at the Charlotte game, it's just crazy to me that he was not the starting kicker. I don't know what was going on in practice or what they were seeing, but with Mihalik, we don't win those games. Special teams definitely getting better. Billy's adapting. That was the note I put down. He is truly adapting. So let's move on here. Bye week. My keys for the bye week, like I said, keep tweaking the offense and some more passing concepts. Get healthy. Continue to play more of the young guys and more snaps for them. They are the better players on this team. TJ Searcy, absolute stud. Jamari Lyons, all those guys. Like, just continue. Kelby Collins, keep putting them on the field. They're always making plays when they're out there. Got to get some fixes on defense. Defense seems to have taken a step back and rounded back into Grantham form. Don't know what's going on, but we've got to make the right changes. Got to get better on defense. I still love them. Still love Coach Ham. It's kind of like that '07 defense. It was really bad. And they were really young, and then the next year they were elite. I think that's what you're going to see next year. This defense is only going to get better. Just add a few wrinkles in for Georgia and a few more, installs, a couple different things in the passing game, maybe even the run game for the second half of the year, but mainly for this Georgia game. I hope we come out firing on all cylinders and we see some more new stuff. Georgia's defense. One thing I want to point out, Bowers is out, guys. We do not have to cover Bowers, which is a blessing for us because, like I said, with our defense playing like it has and giving up big yards, Bowers is their entire offense. He is their best player by far. We do not play well against tight ends or cover tight ends well. We haven't in the past. Even with Shamar and them, it's a little better, but still been an issue for us, in the past years. So Bowers is out. He's having surgery, not playing against the Gators. That changes my outlook for this game entirely after what I saw on offense the last couple of weeks versus Vandy, and what Georgia did against Vandy. Gives me even more hope. I do think Beck is better than Frodo. He is a good quarterback. He's a solid guy, consistent, good numbers for the year. But without his number one weapon and his go-to, he's gettable. He's not very mobile. I believe we can beat them. I've seen South Carolina give them trouble. Auburn, they just look very mediocre. They look average to me. They played a weak schedule. We played a much tougher schedule than them, and I think they're gettable right now. They look human. They don't look elite in the past like they have. They're not running away with games against better competition against the SEC teams they're playing. They're playing the bottom half of the SEC. 37-20 over Vandy. What was our score, guys? 38-14. So Vandy gets another tud on them. And they put up the same amount of points we put up on Vandy. So, I think that Florida can absolutely beat Georgia. And I think this is a game that we should absolutely go out with the mindset we can beat these guys. They just look average. Tight ends, like I said, kill us in the past. Georgia's ranked defensively. They're number 6 overall. But they're last in the SEC in sacks. That bodes well for us with our offensive line being weaker. If we can get healthy against this defense and Mertz has time in the pocket, I think Florida, like I said, without having the pressure that they haven't done well with, Florida can pick them apart in the passing game. UF overall defense is 20th right now. I think we've fallen down quite a bit, but still top 20. That's great. Offense for Georgia, I don't know if this is right. I'm looking these stats up online. It says it's 5th overall. I find that hard to believe they're a top 5 offense, but I guess so. They don't score a ton of points, and they're not. I think it's because of some of the weaker games that they've played against in lower competition. But, yeah, 5th overall in the country for Georgia. I don't think this is the 5th best offense in the country, if you ask me, that we're going to be playing. Us, we're 47th overall, so we're top 50 in the country in offense. I think we're only going to move up that number. I think we finished probably 40th. A few more spots, obviously. We're going to play some decent defenses coming up here soon. But Beck, like I said, not mobile. If we can get pressure on him and get in the backfield and rattle him, he's a young guy still developing. I think that Florida can beat Georgia. I actually do think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I'm thinking, I don't know, probably 24-17 Gators. I think the Gators beat Georgia. I might be on my hopium right now and riding high after a W, but there's still a lot of issues and a lot of flaws with this Gators team. We were obviously down 10 and had to make a miraculous fourth quarter comeback. But the only lucky play, this is what I can't stand. I've had a lot of guys at work today. Oh, that was all luck, that catch and all that. That is part of football, guys. Every team gets lucky. There's fumbles, interceptions in every game. The fact they were in the right position to make the play, Wilson was there to save the ball. It was the right throw and the right play. It bounced off of him, so it would have been a catch probably regardless if it hadn't just bounced off of the receiver. So in the other, it was thrown a little bit behind him, but it was very catchable. The other thing is that was one play. The rest of that was just us effectively moving the ball down the field on them and scoring. I mean, we got a 4th and 10 and we converted because of a good play to the tight end, and we willed ourselves to victory. Plain and simple. South Carolina choked down the stretch because of Florida. They had the ball left to come back at the end and beat us, and we picked them off. They choked. Our defense intercepted the ball. Game over. I love what Billy did with the safety. That got a little hairy at the end, but finally, good decision making, good call on getting the safety and not giving them any time left except for a play. Um, Game over. Gators win. I'm taking the W in Jacksonville. It's a neutral site game. It's not a true away game. It's more of a home game for the Gators than it is Georgia. And I just think Georgia right now with Bowers out, they've looked super average. I think that we've played better teams that are just as good as Georgia this year offensively. I think we've played better teams with better offenses. So I think this is a win for the Gators. I do. I think we're going to be 6-2 after this game, and it's going to be Georgia's only loss of the season. Um, so here's where I'm going to go with this to end this podcast. So I think Florida finishes the year 8-5 with the bowl game, getting the W in the bowl game. But right now, regular season, I still see us at 7-5. Y'all might think that's a little odd. I think 8-4 is still a possibility, depending on how we improve and how much better we can get. I think 8-4 is still the ceiling. Like I said, things are going to get really hard real quick. But Georgia, I do think we win that game, so that's a 6-win. LSU, I still think is a loss. Their offense is just too much to handle. In a shootout, I don't like us in a shootout, even though we did pull it off on the road. That's South Carolina. LSU has a lot more talent. Daniels is just shredding it up. I mean, Heisman type numbers. So I think LSU is still a loss. They're better on offense than Georgia. FSU, I still cannot pick the Gators. I know it's at home, but they're a playoff team right now. I mean, they're undefeated. Their offense is rolling. Their defense is gettable. So I do think we put up some points against FSU at home, and I think it's a close game. But I still can't pick them in that one yet. So I think FSU's a loss. I think Arkansas's a win. Arkansas looks the most winnable on the schedule the rest of the year. That's a bad football team. I mean, they have a losing record. They're still ranked ahead of us in the power rankings in the SEC. They did play Alabama really close, but Alabama's down this year as well, and they've lost a game already. They look, human and gettable. But Arky's a game I think we can win. It's at home. I think Florida will actually, do well in that game. Missouri, I still pick as a loss. That Missouri team is a damn good football team. They've lost one game. They're in the race for the East too. I think Missouri's a really good team. Got a good quarterback. He's a gamer. Made a comeback against Kentucky, and I think Kentucky's still decent. So yeah, beat Kentucky, who we lost to. The other thing about Missouri, we never play well against them, and it's on the road at Missouri. Missouri is a terrible place to have to play. It's going to be cold. It's late in the year. Florida always struggles there and seems to lose when they go play at Missouri. So I'm picking a loss in that game to finish the year 7-5 and then win that bowl game. I'll take 7-5 all day. I think that's a great season for us with what we've had to deal with and the pieces we have. But love it. Love that we're on a bye week at the perfect time for the Gators. I think we're going to come out firing all cylinders out of this. The guys cannot start slow, but it gave me some hope. This game actually gave me some hope that we got things figured out and we're starting to turn a corner. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Go Gators. Have a good day.